Let's talk about exercise. How many of you guys do exercise on a regular basis? Well, life's all about choices, right? So, taking a look at two different pictures here. One on the left has two females who are both 74 years old, but different lifestyle choices led to different outcomes. So, the one on the left is competing in a bodybuilding competition, it looks like, and the one on the right is unfortunately wheelchair bound. Similar situation on the right. We've got two gentlemen who are the same age, but different choices led to different outcomes later on in life physically. So I wanted to pose this to try to encourage you guys to consider exercise and to recognize that it's a worthwhile undertaking. So a little about me. I've exercised to some degree most of my life. Through childhood, I played sports. Baseball, basketball, wrestling, and then got into weight training, running, hiking, climbing, things like that. So I've done a number of different things, still exercise today, but essentially, initially why I did it was because I felt better. I had more energy, felt better about myself. And as I've gotten into the health science curriculum, I've also found the physiological benefits of exercise. So how exercise makes your body run more efficiently, can fight off disease, things like that. So I wanted to pose this and try to encourage you guys to recognize that consistent exercise is a worthwhile undertaking. So some of the things that we'll talk about are the short-term benefits, some of those immediate benefits of exercise. And then we'll look at down the road how exercise can benefit you physically. And then last we'll talk about making exercise work for you, busy schedules, on budget constraints. We'll talk about how to exercise despite those issues. So starting out with the immediate benefits, one thing we all have in common if you're watching this video is that we're all college students. And an article I found talked about some of the challenges that college students face today, one of those being fitness level. It talked about overall fitness levels being poor among college students, among other things, stress, time management, things like that. But exercise does benefit us. It gives us higher energy levels, makes our sleep patterns better, and you sleep more efficiently. And that can lead to better cognitive ability. When you're studying, when you're in lecture or whatever, reading an assignment, you retain that information better. It's also a stress relief. So we're all under stress because of assignments, other obligations outside of college. But stress relief is one of the things that exercise can benefit you from. And overall better self-image. You're just going to feel better about yourself. So here's a graphic of a study that I found. It was among, I think, school-age children, but the outcome is the same, or the benefit is the same. This one talks specifically about fitness standards, which would equate to higher physical fitness. The overall test scores increased as the fitness level increased. So you have a correlation here, essentially pointing out that the more you exercise, the better your cognitive ability is. And this was on fitworld.org. Now, moving on to some of the long-term benefits, that regular exercise is going to strengthen your heart. It's going to make it pump more efficiently, increase circulation, so it's going to reduce the risk of heart disease. And that's an important one that we'll talk about here in just a few minutes. Another benefit is the reduction or elimination of type 2 diabetes. Through exercise, you can actually reverse that diagnosis. And that's typically brought on by obesity, poor eating habits, sedentary lifestyle. Osteoporosis is a bone degenerative disease. Essentially, as we age, your bones tend to get more porous, more brittle, and weight-bearing exercise specifically can train your bones to grow more dense, helps with balance, and overall just stave off that risk of osteoporosis. If we increased our circulation, then that also increases the white blood cells that travel through your bloodstream. So your immune system is going to benefit from it. obviously the cardiovascular system is going to be stronger, and that also leads to cognitive benefits, as dementia is one of the things that presents itself typically later in life. Exercise was shown to stave off dementia as we age. Another graphic, this one's from the American Heart Association. This one essentially shows the correlation between daily physical activity, and along this axis we've got all-cause mortality reduction. So the percentage in reduction increases as your daily activity levels increase. And that blue line is basically the median there between low intensity and high intensity exercise. So somewhere in the middle would be what you would see there. Essentially, the takeaway here is that the more you exercise, the higher the percentage reduction of all-cause mortality. So let's talk about the actual act of exercising. The CDC talks about the recommended weekly amount being 150 minutes per week, which is usually broken down into 5 30-minute sessions. And that's a good goal to shoot for, but it's definitely not essential. Another article talked about what are called micro workouts. The University of Utah did a study that talked about, basically, it's like a high intensity workout. So some sort of high exertion, I don't know if you guys are familiar with something called HIIT, H-I-I-T, or high intensity interval training, but 5 minutes of that was shown to be very beneficial. And the takeaway again is that any physical activity is beneficial. When choosing what to do, we want to pick something that we enjoy. We're more likely to stick with it, and consistency is key. Home workouts are free. They can be done at your pace and in that limited or on that limited schedule. And there's just endless amount of ideas online to like what exercise program to do. Google, YouTube, different things like that. You can find different workout ideas for free. There's a few examples. We've got stairs here that you could use, and that's going to benefit you cardiovascularly, as well as strength training. Guy in the middle is actually doing lunges while he vacuums, and that's we talked about time management. He's knocking out 2 things at once. And on the right, you've got using a kettlebell or using a bottle of detergent in lieu of a kettlebell. You can use bottles of detergent. Looks like he's doing overhead presses. You can also use soup cans. You can find those in your cupboard. So lots of ways to get a workout in for free at home. One thing I like to do is use a deck of cards. And if you take a deck of cards, you would assign an exercise to each suit. So we'll just say heart. If we assign heart as overhead press, if we pull the top card off the deck, we've got a 3 of hearts. So we'll take this laundry detergent and we would do 3 overhead presses, and then we would do the same thing with the right hand to maintain symmetry. But just an idea, lots of ways to get a workout in at home. So looking at what we talked about, the short-term benefits, better energy levels, better cognitive skills, we're just going to feel better overall. Later on, staving off the risk of a lot of those common diseases that we face later, and then also how to fit a workout into your busy schedule and on a budget. I want to throw this up and reiterate that the CDC says heart disease is the #1 cause of mortality in the U.S. And that may have been a figure that we already knew, but the fact that regular exercise can reduce the risk of completely eliminate heart disease shows the importance of exercise in our daily life. I've unfortunately lost family members and have family members that are currently suffering from some illness that we talked about. And that's something nobody wants to deal with. So if you don't do it for yourself, do it for your family. And if we do take on exercise as a habit in our daily life, then we have things like this to look forward to, like travel, or this gentleman's doing push-ups with his grandchildren on his back. So here are a few resources that I encountered while I was doing research for this speech. And again, I wanted to point out that YouTube and Google are good sources to find endless amounts of exercise ideas. If you have questions, throw them down there in the comments section. I'll be glad to respond. But hopefully I've at least persuaded you to look at exercise as a valuable hobby to take on in the future. Thank you.